Welcome all. In this video I will explain clauses, and imagine that we have a program where we want to store data of a person. So we have person 1 here, and we want to store multiple properties of a person. So for example, the first name of the person, the last name of the person, and the age of the person. And we want to create a program that stores these properties for a lot of persons. So therefore we can make more variables like this. So we create a person 2, or we create variables for person 2, I have to say, like this. And we can do this for a lot of more persons. However, what you see is that for each person here, we use 3 different variables. And that's not very efficient. And what we can do with a class is create an own data type that holds these 3 variables. So a class is an own data type. So with a class we can create an own data type that exists of multiple variables. And these variables we call member variables. So let's have a look how we can do that. And to create a class, we work outside the main function, and we start by typing class and now the name of the class. So you can determine the name of the class yourself. And in this case, I chose for the name person because we want to store properties of a person. Then we type curly brackets and you end with a semicolon. And between the curly brackets you type private colon and public colon. And for now you just have to know that you have to type this, and all the code that you type in the class is under public. Yeah, so later on in another video I will explain what private and public exactly means. And what you have to know now is that under public you type all the properties, so all the member variables of the person. And in this case, we want to store these properties here. So the first name, last name, and age of the person. Yeah, so we can actually copy paste this to the class here. So we paste the variables here, and we call these variables member variables. So these variables belong to the class person. So what we can do now is the following. So I remove this code here. And what we have seen before, when we want to create a variable, we use the following syntax. So data type, then variable name, and then a semicolon. For example, when we want to create an integer, we have to type int and then a variable name, for example I, and we can do the same for a person. Yeah, so again, a class, we can use a class to create an own data type, and the data type in this case is called person. And when we create a person, we can store these data here. So we can store in that variable a first name, a last name, and the age of the person. So to create a variable of type person, we have to start typing the data type, so person in this case. Yeah, so we have to type the text as it is here. And now the variable name, for example, P. Yeah, so now we created a variable of data type person. And when we create a variable of data type person, the first name, last name, and age has not a value yet. And to give these variables a value, we have to use the following syntax. So you have to type the name of the variable, so P in this case, then a dot, and then you see all the member variables appear. So if we want to change the first name, we can select the first name here, and then we say is the name Tom, for example. Yeah, so now the text Tom is being copied into the first name of person P. The same we can do for the other member variables. So for the last name we can say Hoogkamp. And for the age, we can say 32, for example. Yeah, so now we did give each member variable a value. We can also get the values of the member variables, and therefore we can use the same syntax. So for example, if I want to print the first name of the person, I can use cout, and then we have to type p dot, and then the member variable that you want to print. And in this case, I want to print the first name, so therefore you select the first name of the person. So if I now run this code, you see Tom is printed, because here on line 21 I create a person. On line 22, 23 and 24 I assign a value to all the member variables of the person. And since I assigned Tom to the first name, and on line 26 I print the first name of person P, therefore the text Tom here is printed on the console. So we can also make more persons now. So I can create another variable P2, for example, and for P2 I can also give value to the first name, last name and age. Yeah, so what we have seen before is, for example, int I. So with an integer we can store a single value or single number in this variable I, and when I create a variable of type person, I can store a first name, last name and an age in this variable by using the syntax as I've shown here. So that's it for this video. In this video we have seen classes.